Rarely has mankind hesitated to eradicate the creatures that stand in the path of his conquest. If we find ritual extirpation, undesirable natives of another world, the rest must be destroyed. Is it possible that our dark past watch them and pray?
Greetings, ladies, gentlemen, government agents, undeserving televangelists, and anybody who might be listening. This is Close Encounters of the Podcast Kind, and we are wrapping up our big old Satan series with Satan and the Devil Part 3 today. I am your host, Mr. Tasker, and we have our very well-researched demonologist, Nick.
I cannot tell you how fucking excited I am for this episode. I can see the look in your eyes. All right. I can see it. I can sense it. But my whole life has come to this moment right here. All of my knowledge. You think I paid attention in school when they were talking about trigonometry? I didn't even actually make it to trigonometry when they were talking about regular geometry and all this. No, I was doing research outside of school on witchcraft and shit like that. And it's all coming to fruition. It's all coming to a head in this episode.
Well, see, I'm starting to think you're just using us as a platform to finally carry out your occultist dreams.
Yeah, well, I need people to do it. Like, it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna come out and just say it, but I mean, you're not wrong.
Is this like a thing where it's like you're roping in all the listeners and like by the time they've already listened to this right now, so it's already too late, and all of their souls are just going to be like absorbed into the internet to summon some like maid demon dragon that just, you know, takes care of your dog and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I've already been doing it, man. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Everything that you're going to hear in this episode has already been done by me like 2 days ago. So it's all happening.
And a little context too. As you guys all know, I'm the resident scaredy cat, and this is so part 1 and 2 was like, you know, the history that we went into and the background, the biblical stories. But this is the metal episode. This is the creepy stuff. This is where we want all of our goth listeners to kind of come out of their caves and like give it a listen. But also, this is the stuff that is legitimately terrifying to me because demons, the devil, like hellish stuff like that, like there's a little bit of a blurred line of what's real and what's not here, and there's a lot of people who believe in this kind of stuff. So I made Nick do all the research on this because I was not even gonna come close to touching any of these things, and you really went hard on this, right?
I went hard on it. I went fast on it, and the worst part of all of it is most of it is from memory. And that's the saddest thing is I know most of this stuff. I didn't have to do too much research.
Oh, jeez. And we actually have a source on this episode too.
We do. So we'll get into it a little bit later, but we are using the Grand Grimoire, also known as the Red Dragon, in that'll be coming up a little bit later in this episode.
Yeah, I'm not excited about it, but at the same time, I kind of am, because there's that inherent fear is just also rooted in that inherent curiosity of the unknown. And I'm sure you guys are just as excited as I am, or maybe just as scared as I am, in which case you've probably already turned the episode off. But for all you who are here, we just got to jump into it. We got to let Nick do his thing and inform us of the scary, terrifying side that is Satan and the devil.
Well, everybody, welcome back to our series on Satan and the Devil. Parts 1 and 2, like Tasker mentioned, we went over more of the biblical and historical background of the big baddies. But here on part 3, the final part, we'll be taking a more modern look at them and the different things that Satan and the devil have influenced, including symbolism, different crimes committed, and ways you and your butt buddies can summon your very own demon.
Specifically butt buddies, because I think that brings up the chi or something, right?
Yeah, you're going to have to get into that root chakra. And there will be a portion of this episode where I need your notebooks out. All right. I know it's been a little while since we've done the notebook thing, but and I will let you know when that's going to be. So if everybody's ready, including yourself, Tasker.
I'm ready. I'm as ready. I am agonizing over this episode. Literally. Okay, before we even jump into it, like nothing too crazy has happened, but definitely some weird shit has been going on since like we've been like laying the framework on this episode. Like you were like playing cards and like 666 appeared a couple times.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
Despite the fact it's basically summer, it rained for 2 hours this morning. What was it? There was another thing that happened. Like you had like a Spotify.
I kept putting different playlists on Spotify that I've created on shuffle, and songs soon after shuffle would come on that were devil related or they were demon related or something like that. So there's been some spooky shit happening.
Yeah, and also I forgot to mention one of the biggest reasons, because I think I just mentally blocked it, why I didn't research anything on this is because I started and I had a physical panic attack. Like, I don't mean like, oh, scary. Like, no, like my heart felt like it was going to stop. And like, I got dizzy and I had to like walk outside. And like I said in previous episodes, the minute spooky shit starts happening, I pull the plug. So after that, I'm like, I just closed everything out. I fucking just started playing Final Fantasy because I needed to just take the rest of the day off. So yeah, nope, I didn't touch any of this. So I'm going in completely, I'm going in dry with all this. I don't know anything that's about to happen. So Nick, don't fuck me on this.
No promises, man. You'll see. I'm not no promises to anybody out there listening. If something happens, it's not okay. You guys signed a mental waiver by listening to this episode. Okay, just know that I'm not liable for any poltergeists, any possessions, anything that might happen to you after this episode.
Oh boy. With that being said, we gave our cautionary statement, so therefore you can't sue us. Let us dive into it.
All right, well, let's begin this episode by discussing different symbols and symbolism that are linked to Satan and or the devil. First and foremost, we have the big daddy of all sacrilegious symbolism, and that is, of course, the inverted or upside down cross. Tasker, I'm sure you've seen this plenty of times in your usual ritual bouts, yes?
Oh, of course, man, except it's the other way around. That's right. I'm summoning angels, and as it turns out, it doesn't work. I'll tell you that. Sorry.
Right, it's okay. This one might work.
Yeah, maybe, huh? God damn it. So yeah, upside down cross. That's a pretty common one. We actually see that a lot in most media. Whenever there's anything satanic or something like that, like there'll be the case where it's like, you know, the church or something that gets corrupted by the devil, and the cross that's like on the podium will like one of the nails will come undone and the cross will like fall down and it's upside down.
Woohoo! Now, interestingly enough, not many people know the previous and true meaning of the inverted cross. See, another name for the inverted cross is the cross of St. Peter. St. Peter was a disciple of Jesus and later a devout Christian and even became the first bishop of Rome, aka the Pope. Your boy, the Pope. I didn't know that the Bishop of Rome was the same thing as the Pope, but apparently it is.
Yeah, basically, because like, yeah, there's a bishop for like every single nation and stuff, but Rome just happens to be the center of it all in terms of Christianity.
Well, in 64 AD, Emperor Nero of Rome decided to blame the Christians for the Great Fire of Rome and figured someone had to be made a lesson of, right? So he's like, let's think about this. Who should I blame? So we're pagan, right? And that's pretty dope. The Christians are kind of fucking annoying with their monotheism. Let's fuck it with those guys. So, you know, who they choose. And who better to make a lesson of than Mr. Popey Pants himself, St. Peter.
Pretty big target, man. Like the Pope is, I mean, if you don't know who the Pope is, like you should probably look that up. But like the Pope's kind of a big deal. But this was the first Pope. And as we all know, the first of anything, you know, it's always the one we remember. But in the time, it's like, you know, he didn't have the Pope mobile. He wasn't super well protected back then. In fact, a lot of people hated him.
Exactly. This was a time when Christians were going through heavy persecution. So when Nero was like, I got to blame somebody and make a lesson out of somebody, he chose him, and Peter was crucified, which was a fairly common method of slow execution in Rome at the time.
Now, I just gotta, like, because crucifixion is often talked about and discussed in like, every church group ever. But I must reiterate how horrible of a way to die being crucified must be. So the way it happened to Jesus, of course, that's not usually the way they do it because they really wanted to make an example out of him. But in usual crucifixion, they beat the shit out of you. They make you carry your own cross, put it up, and then they tie you to it. And then everyone just like makes fun of you and then just leaves you to starve to death. Like while you're hanging and all that blood's draining out from your, I don't know if any of y'all have done pull-ups before, but like just hanging from that bar, that's just, it doesn't feel good. So to do that and starve at the same time while suffering from all your wounds and stuff, it's a horrible way to go. So anyway, sorry, I just needed
horrible. I mean, so I've heard stories that one of the things that happens as soon as you, because like, okay, so you're hung up there, your arms are outstretched to your sides, right? Eventually, you're going to lose the strength to keep yourself up. When you do, your shoulders dislocate. Then, which is, by the way, speaking from 4 times experience, it's not a lot of fun. And then, not
that Nick's been crucified, but. Wow, you're really giving the old what's that called? The pathos or the ethos on your demonology cred.
Yeah, I'm kind of like Jesus. But it was horrifying, and also from the wounds that you were talking about from being beaten essentially and cut and stuff before, the crows and wild animals would pick at you while you were up there on the cross as well. So think about that shit the next time you piss off a Roman emperor. But Peter requested to be crucified upside down because he believed he was not worthy to be executed in the same manner as Jesus, which was, of course, right side up. And this is where the origin of the inverted cross as a symbol in the Christian mythos comes from. But this isn't what we first think of when we see this cross, like Tasker was explaining before.
Yeah, it's very interesting that this actually had a very pious meaning at first. Like the upside down cross actually was it was a very noble thing at the time.
But I mean, just like anything can be taken a different way as the times go on, right? The modern take on the inverted cross is that it represents the opposite of what the traditional cross stands for. That being, of course, and the new take is anti-Christianity, and to some, it can even represent the Antichrist himself or herself, because I'm going to just throw that out there. I don't want to get canceled 21 episodes in.
It is too late for that, buddy. If you're going to get canceled, it's already there's so much evidence against you, dude. Like, I wouldn't even try anymore.
Hey, you're coming down with me. All right.
Unfortunately, yeah. Guilty by association.
And it's interesting because like, I don't want to say I believe, but I want to say that I kind of identify and I understand why they would identify with the inverted cross representing the Antichrist, because if it's the opposite of Christianity and the Antichrist is the opposite of Christ, it would only make sense that the cross would be inverted.
Yeah, it's a very simple and like kind of cute idea. Like it's just like it's very like the logic is all there. It's just funny to me that like the real meaning of it is like not that at all. And it's like I wonder if they even when the whole idea of turning the inverted cross as a symbol for the Antichrist, if they even knew that it was actually the cross of St. Peter.
You know what? They probably didn't. I don't think a lot of people know about the cross of St. Peter and that story. I don't think people know about that. So
they made a big old oopsie, and then when they try to summon a devil, it's like I don't know what would happen if you accidentally tried to summon a devil, but with like holy stuff.
I just don't think it would work. I don't think you would summon an angel. I don't think you can summon an angel, but I don't think it would work. I think it would just be like a placid spell. Like it just doesn't work.
Just be a waste of an afternoon.
Exactly.
Well, that's good to know.
Next up, we have a 2-for-1 deal at Nick's Shop of Horrors. We have the pentagram and the inverted pentagram. I will explain the differences to clear up any confusion.
I didn't know there was a difference. So like with pentagram, because I know there's a lot of videos where everybody gets the pentagram wrong. And my favorite being this, it was like a series of like Snapchats where somebody did like a prison tattoo on themselves of a pentagram, but they put 6 points instead of 5. Penta means 5. So when it's a hexagram, that's the Star of David.
You're just a Jew at that point. Wonder how he did in prison after that.
Oh, probably not well. Well, I don't know. Maybe that was their calling to convert. So who knows?
First off, we have the regular old pentagram, tip up, if you know what I mean.
Hey.
This 5-pointed star has some roots in Christianity as well, which surprised me, by the way, because I don't want to put too much about it out there, but I've worked with the pentagram before. In certain things, high school was a weird time, okay? I never knew that there was roots in Christianity with the pentagram. That really surprised me, and I'll get a little bit into what it meant. It's pretty interesting stuff.
So when you were walking around in like all black, wearing your inverted crosses and your pentagrams, you didn't realize you were actually just a big old poster child for Christianity.
Yeah, dude, who would have thought? I may as well have been wearing suspenders, had a cowlick, and some freckles, you know, perfect.
Might as well have been a youth preacher.
So the pentagram, as far as Christianity goes, was a popular fashion statement to wear around one's neck as a necklace to symbolize the 5 holy wounds of Jesus. And those wounds being the 2 nails driven through his hands or wrists, depending on, which take it was, the nail through both of his feet, and the lance that he took to the side as some kind of old school Roman double tap to make sure he was dead.
Yeah, man, they totally didn't have to do that. Like
No.
the guy was already going through so much, and they just stabbed him in the side just to get one more in on him. Just it's fucked up.
It's fucked up, man. And that's why he's a martyr.
Yeah. Didn't they say that he didn't bleed blood from that wound, but water?
I don't know. I thought it was acid.
Like LSD acid or like
alien acid, like both.
Alien acid. God damn it. Whatever your take is, something happened.
But in more modern times and more metal times, depending on which way you look at it, pentagram is usually worn and utilized by different neo-pagan religions and certain witchcraft practitioners as well. And that's kind of what I did in high school. That's what I meant it to be as. I didn't mean it to be the 5 wounds of Jesus. I meant it to be, I practiced a little bit of Wicca.
Mm-hmm.
I dabbled in that hippy dippy shit for a bit.
Yeah. What is Wicca for the people who don't know?
Wicca is, I don't want to call it a religion.
It's more like a practice, right?
It's a practice. There's a debate, as some people call it a religion. Some people call it more of like just a practice or a tradition. And basically it's like a neo-pagan nature-based practice that does involve witchcraft, green witchcraft, right? And green witchcraft is basically witchcraft you conduct with goodwill intent, and the tools you use are things of earth, so usually crystals, different herbs, and different incenses and shit, like candles, shit like that, right? So that's a green witch stuff. That's what Wicca is.
So there's like a class, a druid, right? It's basically like being a druid, right?
It's kind of like being a druid.
Got it. And also Wicca has no relation to Nicolas Cage's remake of Wicker Man. Am I correct?
No relation. And I don't know which one's more embarrassing.
Oh no.
In some of these neo-pagan practices or religions, like I said, there's a debate whether some of these practices are religions or not. The pentagram and its 5 points represent something completely different than the Christian tradition. For instance, each point represents in clockwise order, starting from the top, like the tip, right? The very tippity top, the head, if you will.
And this is pentagram, of course, which has 5 points. This is where there's that one center point that's not symmetrical with anything. So when it's pointed up, that's like the nice version, right?
It's the nice version. It's the version that and we'll see why, but it's the version that you don't have to worry about. I want to differentiate this one and the inverted one. So for instance, if you're going clockwise from the tip, the points represent spirit, then water, then fire, then earth, and then air. These are, and this is mainly because of that hippy dippy nature of these neo-pagan practices I was talking about, and the witchcraft that comes along with them. how the elements connect to each other and represent different things, and depending on which ritual or spell you're trying to do. So basically, each point of the pentagram, and when it's facing upwards, represents a different element that is essential to magic.
It's kind of like chakras a little bit.
It's kind of like chakras, where different positions represent different spiritual things, usually benevolent things.
Okay. So yeah, this is just so not all magic is bad. Not all magic is about summoning demons and stuff. This is just, happy getting in tune with the elements.
Exactly. You know what? And that is a misconception I think we should clear up right here. Magic isn't bad. The intention behind the magician is what makes it bad or not. You could do black magic, but you could do it for a purpose that's completely that's not like a evil intent.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you may have, I don't know, killed a cat or something in order to get to for an ingredient you need in your spell.
Oh,
which is kind of, but I don't want to say it's just an animal, because cats are cool. They're all right. But I'm a dog guy, so it's okay. But
yeah.
But the intent behind it is what really matters. So that's why things like chaos magic are really popular, especially in modern times, because it gets rid of that idea that one type of magic is bad and another one is good. It's all about what you put into the universe and how it comes back.
Yeah, and viewers, listeners, don't kill the cats. Come on. I don't care what you're trying to get out of it. I don't care if it's going to make your crops grow. Man, don't kill the kitties. You could go buy fertilizer down the street. We have science. We have ways to make your plants grow without killing the cats. Oh man, it's actually not to be get sad, but during Friday the 13th and October, a lot of places actually won't, I almost said rent out. That's fucked up. They won't let you adopt black cats because there's such an increase of people sacrificing them and killing them and stuff. And it's what the fuck was that?
Oh, that was me just being all hyped for you.
Okay.
Fucking cool, man. What are you talking about, bro?
Okay. You see how tense I got with that, dude? How on edge. I thought that was
Tasker and I are FaceTiming right now so we can see each other. He looked like he pooped his Pampers.
I am so on edge with this episode. I hear anything kind of unusual and I'm what the fuck? What's going on? I don't know, a cat.
Okay, guys, he's right. Don't kill the cat. All right. But we'll talk about that later, actually. As a side note, real quick, speaking of the pentagram, I do want to point out, before people jump on my balls and rip them off, there is a difference between a pentagram and a pentacle. Okay, a pentacle is when you add a circle to the outside of the pentagram. So whenever you see a pentagram that is enclosed in a circle, it's called a pentacle. Okay, I know that. It's basic occult knowledge. Don't put that in the reviews. I know what I'm talking about at some point. All right.
I actually didn't know there was a difference with the pentagram in the circle and without the circle.
The circle will come in handy in a second. I'll tell you what it means.
Uh-oh.
Speaking of circles, use for the pentacle in modern witchcraft practices is used as protection. And what these witches will do is draw what is called a circle of protection using salt or some other demon repellent. Come on, who has enough silver to make a circle? So usually people use salt or sage or something like that, right?
Yeah, unless you're one of those televangelists who have a ton of money.
Yeah, we all know they're fucking witches.
Yeah, dude, they gotta be there's some Satan shit going on. I think televangelists are some of the most evil people on the planet.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll use salt for their circle of protection while casting spells or conducting some kind of ritual. Okay, so that is a little bit of an overview on the regular pentagram and pentacle, the one with the tip up, every morning, right? Every morning you wake up, your tip's up. So is the pentagram that we just talked about. Okay,
that is a fantastic way to remember it.
Thank you. Now let's get into the opposite of all this hippy dippy bullshit. JK, right? I love the green witches out there. I don't mean any harm. Please don't kill my dog for sacrifice. Didn't mean anything.
Oh, not the dog.
So let's get into the opposite of that by beginning to talk about the inverted or upside down pentagram or pentacle.
So this is the scary one. This is the bad one.
This is the one that you want to avoid most of the time. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There might be times when you need to call upon it. You'll know when the time is right.
Oh dear.
The inverted pentagram is viewed as evil of the devil for two main reasons. The first is because when the pentagram is turned upside down, the 2 points that are usually the legs at the bottom are sticking up and are supposed to represent the horns of Baphomet, a character often but incorrectly associated with the devil.
Interesting. That's well, I'm sure you'll get into that more, right?
A little bit, yeah, because if you think about it, like, okay, so the Church of Satan, oh yeah, I'll get into it. I'll get into a minute, yeah.
Yeah.
So the second reason is because when turned upside down, the pentagram's point that is usually tipped, the tip that's facing up is now downward and is supposed to represent triumph over the spirit. Because if you'll recall, the tip of the pentagram is the spirit. So when you invert it and turn it upside down, it's about domination and it's about dominating the human spirit.
Oh, so it's less about getting in touch. So upwards pentagram is about getting in touch with like the flow of like elements and energy and getting in tune with your spirit. Turning the pentagram upside down is a sort of, I wish to conquer the spirit. I wish to overcome it and become something greater.
Exactly. And that's why it's used by devil worshippers most of the time as a symbol or like an incantation or a symbol of dominating the human spirit.
Whoa. Oh, okay. We're getting into metal then.
Yes, the episode's gonna be getting a lot more metal from here on out. Okay. As a side note here, there is another big reason as to why the inverted pentagram / pentacle is associated with quote unquote evil. And that is because it is the official insignia of the Church of Satan, along with the head of Baphomet within the inverted pentacle. So the insignia for the Church of Satan is an inverted pentacle, right? It has the upside down pentagram, it has a circle, and then within that is a drawn head of Baphomet. But I don't want to get too much into it right now because we will be talking a little bit more about this at the end of the episode. But keep that in the back of all of your closed-minded brains when you're thinking of how evil this one looks and how bad it is, okay? There's a Baphomet head inside of an upside-down pentacle. It doesn't mean it's always bad. Remember, it's how you use it. Right? It's how you use the symbol. It's just like magic, right? It's how you use the herbs and it's how you use the crystals, man. So, like, this is the only time that the destination matters more than the journey is in magic. That is my number one. If you guys can take any notes about magic that we're talking about so far, it's all about the destination, not the journey.
And one might think that I would go off and be like, oh, all magic is evil and stuff. But you know what? We're trying to go in with an open mind. And like we've said before, not all magic is malicious. Malicious people are malicious. And this is just like you said, it's not so much of a study. I mean, not so much of a religion, but more of a different practice. And it's a different way of viewing the world and stuff. And, you know, I know the word paganism and stuff has like a very like awful connotation because pagan people have been persecuted for years, because you'll find there's a very violent history in terms of like how, you know, the big three religions kind of took over. Like it wasn't always just like a message of peace and stuff. And there's evil that happens within them too. So if you're kind of like, fuck this podcast, like this is they're just talking about evil stuff. It's like, well, you probably already shut off the podcast anyway, so who cares? But this is like, it's just don't think of it as evil people doing evil things and trying to like bastardize the idea of God himself, but think of it as just people with a different perspective, people with a different way of viewing the world. And maybe this is what they grew up with and stuff. And just like in regular organized religion, there's good and bad. And there's people who want to use it for good just as much as there's people who wanted to use it for bad, like televangelists who are using Catholicism and Christianity as a way to afford a bunch of multi-million-dollar jets and take all of your money. It's a scam. Don't give them money. They're evil.
Yeah. Please don't. Give us money.
Yeah. Put those hard-earned dollars to where they really matter.
Yeah. So Tasker's 100% right. There it is all about the person. It is not about the practice. Okay. So keep that in mind as we're going forward, but not on this next section. This is the next section is going to be 100% the person's fault. Okay.
Yeah, this is just, we're getting into okay, this is very evil.
Let's get into the murders that have been committed by devil worshippers in order to appease the big man downstairs.
Ugh. Yeah, this is now we're getting into, this is the real nitty-gritty dark side of this whole thing. This is probably what people were expecting in episode 1, but here it is now. So your patience has paid off.
Yes, exactly. Now, first up, we have the murders committed by the members of the Italian metal band called Beasts of Satan.
Wow, that's pretty cut and dry.
That's a bad name.
Something that sounds like a garage band.
Sounds like a buffet I'd eat at.
The Beast of Satan. Probably very spicy food.
Ooh. January of 1998, 19-year-old Chiara Marino and her boyfriend, 16-year-old Fabio Tolis, were drinking some beer, listening to metal music at a place called Midnight Pub, which was like the holy land for metal music scene, for the metal music scene around the area of Soma Lombardo, just north of Milan, right? So you have two teenagers just having a good fucking time, man. It was the 80s. Or I'm sorry, no, it was not. It was the 90s, which is still cool, man. And they're just drinking beer, having a good time, listening to fucking black metal and shit, right?
I noticed that the girl was 19 and the guy was 16. That's illegal, right?
That is, I mean, I don't know what they do in Italy. I don't know. Italy's fucking weird, man. Every country outside of America has different like ages of consent, and I don't know. So like Italy might be 16, right? And then like Zimbabwe might be like 5. I don't know, dude.
Yeah, but it seems with this story, these people don't seem the type to really care about that kind of stuff, huh?
Yeah, they're just like they're all about living the life, drinking beer, listening to metal, and banging, right?
Jeez.
Now, the couple were lured out into the woods by the members of Beasts of Satan, which is probably easy to do since they were actually all quote unquote friends.
Uh-oh.
In a ritual consisting of sex and sacrifice, the Beasts of Satan stabbed Chiara and Fabio multiple times. The stabbing was enough to kill Chiara, but Fabio was still alive even after the stabbing had ended.
Ugh, that's not fun.
No. And now one of the members, named Pietro Guerrieri. I'm just going to call him Pietro, all right? I have a hard time pronouncing American names, all right? Now, we're trying, right? Look, as this podcast goes along, we go all over the world, right? We've been going all over the world with everything that Tasker and I talk about, and we're trying our best, and we're becoming cultured men because of it. I have grown into a man.
Balls dropped and everything. You can say names that have more than 3 R's in them. It's awesome. And that's hard for you because you're part Japanese, right?
Oh yeah, very hard. Okay.
Sorry. I might cut that. That was bad.
No, keep it in. They need to know.
Oh no. Okay, you go on.
Now, one of the members named Pietro decided to finish killing Fabio by beating him to death with a hammer to the face. Kind of like that one Cannibal Corpse song that I love, Smashed Hammer Face. It's like their number one song.
Yeah, a little pretty on the nose, huh? Or on the skull.
Oh, that's disgusting. They then buried the bodies and danced on their corpses, believing some kind of ritual had been completed.
Okay, that just sounds haphazard. Like, that doesn't even sound organized.
Yeah, no, this was completely unorganized. Now, the third and final official murder of the group took place almost exactly 6 years later in January of 2004. So, we have Andrea Volpe, the lead man for Beasts of Satan. He invited his ex-girlfriend, Mariangela over for a nice, relaxing dinner, or at least that's what he told her to get her into his apartment. You see, Mariangela knew too much about the crimes the beast of Satan had committed, and he wanted to silence her now that she was no longer his girlfriend. So basically, he was afraid that now that there was no connection between the two of them, she might blab to somebody.
Uh-oh.
At some point during the night, Volpe shot Mariangela in the throat and mutilated her body while she was still alive.
Oh,
I couldn't find any details on what the mutilation consisted of. Otherwise, your boy would have put it in.
Yeah, either way, just know it probably was a very, very miserable way to go.
But Tasker, the worst part of the whole thing is that Mariangela lived through the gunshot wound to the throat and the mutilation. So she didn't even go from the mutilation.
Oh, no, not Mariangela.
Yes. And in a panic, Volpe called up another band member, Nicola Sapone, and told him that he needed help and she wasn't dying. Sapone promptly roasted him by saying, quote, "You can't even kill a person," unquote. And then he came over really fast to help Volpe finish what he had started. So they hit Mariangela over the head with a shovel multiple times, and she still wouldn't die. So they ended up just burying her alive, which is like my worst fucking nightmare.
That's my first. Oh, dude, that's my worst nightmare too. That's. Oh my god. Okay, no, you gotta finish the story.
Okay. It was obvious that an ex-boyfriend of a recently missing woman would be picked up for questioning, right? Which Volpe was, and he confessed to everything that he had done and definitely threw other members of Beast of Satan under the bus. I spelled "through" wrong on the outline.
Oh, nice. Way to go, man.
To end this tale, just know that there are up to 14 other murders and alleged suicides and or accidents which Beasts of Satan are suspects for, but they have not been proven to be involved yet.
So there are a bunch of, considering the fact of how the confession and all that stuff happened, there were a bunch of pussies trying to put on the drabs of Satan to make themselves cool and feel validated. But deep down, there were a bunch of spineless idiots that needed to use violence to feel powerful.
Exactly. And then, look, you just described 3/4 of the black metal bands in Norway. All right. So
oh no, that's so tragic though. And so when she got buried, she died after that, or were they able to save her?
She died. Yeah, because they didn't find her until I think it was got picked up a week later. He confessed, so it was more than a week after that he led them to the body.
Oh, okay, so more than enough to. Oh, that sucks. That really sucks.
That's a bad way to go, dude. That's a really bad way to go.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy. Well, rest in peace. Oh man.
Or Mariangela.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I don't want to victim blame or anything, but with a name like that,
don't you even fucking start on this, man. You've already cursed us enough with this episode.
Next up, we have a real mean son of a bitch, Thomas Maldonado Serra. Serra is a serial killer and rapist from Atlantico, Colombia. He killed 7 to 10 people from 2002 to 2018. Nickname in the media and around the street was El Satanico, which means rubber ducky.
No,
right?
It doesn't.
Okay, all right. No, I'm sorry, not rubber ducky. El Satanico. That means the Satanist. Sorry, I get those confused quite often.
Is it or Satanico?
Satanico. Yeah, sorry, I wasn't born in Colombia. That was my.
See, we are getting cultured, even though you can't spell "through" correctly.
Okay, well, I did technically spell it correctly, but I used the wrong "through."
Hey, man, it's baby steps, right?
Yes. Still hooked on phonics. So Sarah killed multiple people in brutal ways. For instance, Sarah's first victim, and I swear to God, this is his name. Again, the name thing. Ronaldo Romero was killed by being stabbed 25 times. Almost all of the bodies of his victims were found with similar wounds, including pentagrams and hexagrams cut into different parts of their bodies with a knife. Again, we have that symbology that we talked about earlier on. Now, he did throw hexagrams in there.
It's a bit of a blunder.
So yeah, that was a that was a jump, right? I don't know why. Maybe he was also mad at the Jews. I'm not sure.
I just think he just didn't know how to, because artistically, it takes a little practice to get the pentagram right. So I think maybe he was just trying to. He didn't quite have the practice necessary.
Maybe he just didn't get it. Like maybe he didn't know. But also, if you think about it, it's hard enough to draw. Like if you're not familiar with it, it's hard enough to draw like a nice looking pentagram on paper with like a pen or a pencil, and then think about trying to do it while you're using a knife into somebody's skin. It's probably like 5 times harder.
Yeah, well, and you have also like your body's firing off all kinds of like adrenaline and stuff. I mean, not that I know what that's like, but
Sure.
I imagine, as they say, panic is a hell of a drug.
That's true. But we are technically defending a killer right now, so I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna nick on the line.
Wow, that's very rare for you to jump in. So yeah, we're really making history today.
And on the corpses, their middle and ring finger on one of the hands were cut off in order to display the hand with the sigil or the sign of Vur. Those who don't know, the sign of Vur is the classic metal hand signal when you put your index and pinky fingers up looking like the horns of the devil. Like pretend like you're at like, I don't know, like a concert or something, right? What do white people do at metal concerts? They put their index and their pinky up, and they're like, "Woo, woo!" This guy took it to the next level and decided to cut off the middle 2 fingers, so it was permanently that sign.
Whoa, that's so. Wait, hold on. Sorry, I know you just said it, but is this where you have your? Because I know if you get it wrong, it literally is just like "I love you" in sign language. But is it thumb out or thumb in?
Thumb in is the sign of Vur. Thumb out is "I love you."
Okay,
I don't know ASL. I've never claimed. I don't even know a deaf person. Okay, nor do I want to. And I can say that because they're not going to hear this shit.
They're not going to listen to the podcast. You fucking.
It's just like the Amish. I can talk all the shit about the Amish I want. They're not going to hear any of this.
You have a point there, but a horrible one, but a point nonetheless.
Another aspect of the murders linking Sarah to the devil worship that he's been, obviously accused of committing was the fact that when a lot of the bodies were found, there were satanic writings and ritualistic symbols in the sand surrounding the corpses. And that's pretty much all that we have for Sarah. But clearly there was something connected to the occult and the devil worship, right? With the way that he conducted both his murders and how he staged them afterwards.
Like with the previous ones, I feel he wasn't really like a devil worshiper. I think it was just the shock value of it, the fact that he was doing something like because he, like I said, like what really kind of made me think that was how he got the hexagrams instead of the pentagrams. Like he didn't even know what the fuck he was doing. Like I think he was just an evil person who wanted to kill people. And then it's like Richard Ramirez, he just got all with like the Satan shit to add that extra layer of like demonizing himself and to make him seem greater than he actually was, because like he's already doing this atrocious thing. But if you say, "Oh, Satan told me to do it," then it's like suddenly you become like almost as if like you were like possessed, or almost it's like a sort of, this is beyond me. I'm just I don't know. I think it removes himself from the equation a little bit more. And I think that's really, I think it's pussy shit.
Most devil worshippers and murderers that use the devil are pussies. That's okay. Oh, you know what? I'm going to come out and say all murderers are pussies, just so I can cover my bases, because then if people in the comments are going to say, "Oh, Nick, what about other so you don't think other murderers are pussies? What, do you idolize them?" I'm like, no, why would I ever idolize them? That I don't want to do that.
Well, good thing we have the podcast to keep you in line, hopefully.
Keeps me out of trouble.
Yeah, that's good. But yeah, I don't know. I think with any like quote unquote satanic murderer, I think it's like, I don't think they really know what they're talking about. I think it's just because they do it because it scares people.
Exactly, man. Yeah, it scares people.
Yeah, they're not actually conduits of the devil themselves. They fucking wish.
That's the problem with devil worshippers, man. They wish, and it never comes true, and then they just end up in prison.
Yep. As they should. As they should.
And now we come to a fine young gentleman named Ricky Casso, right? And I said that ironically. He's not a fine young gentleman. He actually had a lot of mental issues. So Ricky was a teenager in 1984 during the peak of the Satanic Panic that was sweeping the nation.
So now we actually are in the 80s.
We are in the 80s, man. I was there. It was fucking wicked, dude. Rush was playing all over the place. Not even just in Canada, right? They were playing everywhere. And there was girls with like weird floppy tits for some reason. And then like for some reason it was different back then. And then like I wasted jeans and like, oh dude, I was like, I had a DeLorean. And then this one doctor came to me this one time and he told me that he figured out, get this, bro. He figured out how to travel through time using a DeLorean.
Wow, that's pretty uncanny to a movie I might have seen.
Never heard of it. But then like when I went in, so like then all of a sudden we were hanging out in this parking lot. He was showing me how to use a DeLorean as a time machine. These fucking Libyans came out of nowhere, right? And just started shooting at him. So I hopped in the DeLorean. I hit 88 miles per hour. All of a sudden, I'm in the 50s. I banged my mom, right? Which was super weird.
Oh.
And then I came back in time. It was deformed, right? Because I was my own kid.
Mm-hmm.
My mom in the past. And then the doctor was still alive. Luckily, he knew about the Libyans coming because I gave him a note saying something in the 50s that... Anyway, so long story short, 80s were dope. I traveled in time and banged my mom. And then, so basically we're in the 80s. Satanic Panic is sweeping the nation, like I said, right?
I wish you could see my world record face palm going on right now. This is... Where are you going with this?
I don't remember. I don't remember. It's just that plot sounded so familiar to something I've watched before.
Yeah. It's almost like you might have been lost to a drunken haze and somehow absorbed content into your life story.
Anyway, so it seems Ricky was a part of the problem of the Satanic Panic, as most boomers of the time would say. He was into different rock and metal bands, which is, of course, we all know is the product of the devil. He had a tendency of dabbling in the occult, devil worship, and was heavily into drugs. Right? And we'll talk a little bit more about his drug use, and you'll be impressed. I think it's almost impressive. Wow,
he had a bit of a tolerance, huh?
Exactly. Now, Ricky had a friend named Gary Lowers, right? It said that there was some tension between the killer, Ricky, and his friend and to be victims, Gary. This tension began when they were partying, as you do in the mid 80s as a teenager, right? You spend most of your time partying.
Yeah, I think even like the nerdiest of the nerdy people were still on like oxycodone or whatever.
Yeah, exactly, dude. It was everywhere. So for some reason, Gary thought it would be a good idea to steal 10 bags of PCP from Ricky. Okay, so he did.
And PCP is like, that's the drug that lets you like pick up cars and stuff, right?
Yes, it is. And I don't know how big a bag is. They didn't. The website did not say how big the bag was, but my God, it's still 10 bags. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ricky confronted Gary about the theft and demanded that he hand over the remaining 5 bags of PCP because Gary had already blown through 5 bags on his own.
Oh my God! Like on the way there or through like the week?
I think it was only like a couple days in between this. It was he steals it a couple days later. Ricky finds out Gary stole it, and then he's like confronting him about it. But within a couple days, he blew through 5 bags of PCP. Again, I don't know what size the bag is, but that's still fucking insane.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Tensions are now rising between the two, and apparently they have gotten into multiple physical altercations before all of this happened. So there's like everything's coming to a head, right?
Mm-hmm.
And on June 19th, 1984, Ricky and 2 of his other friends invited Gary out to the woods so they could all get high together. And At this point, the boys all made a bonfire and ingested inhuman amounts of LSD and PCP and marijuana. At some point, all of the tension came to a head and Ricky and Gary got into a physical altercation.
Yikes. I can only imagine. On top of being on LSD and PCP, I mean, I don't know a whole lot about how PCP works, but I know with LSD, it's like, it's super, like, you're high as shit. So, like, any emotion you feel is very, like, heightened. And the fact that this guy had murderous urges, I'm sure that just heightened. See, dude, I told you we were going to turn into an LSD Change My Life podcast.
It's true.
We did it. So anyway, so they're high as tits. They had a big bonfire, and then Ricky and Gary they're now actually physically fighting, right?
Exactly. They're getting into it. And during this fight, Ricky bit Gary in the neck and stabbed him in the chest somewhere between 17 and 36 times. He also cut his eyes out.
Ooh. Oh, that's a horrible thing to picture.
And at some point near the end of the brutal assault, Ricky demanded that Gary say, "I love Satan." And instead, Gary said, "I love my mother," which is just the pussiest thing you could do in a moment like that.
Oh, no. No, that's so sad. Oh, man. Oh, Gary. He didn't. Oh.
Poor Gary.
That's really sad.
Ricky and his friends then buried Gary in an extremely shallow grave. And by shallow, I mean they literally just put some branches and leaves on top of the corpse. Like they didn't even dig a hole, which was
amateurs.
It was the 80s, you know what I mean?
Well, they were also high on PCP and LSD. I bet they thought that they might as well have thrown the body into Mariana's Trench.
That's true. Later on, Ricky would say that a crow came to him right after the murder and tried communicating with him, and the crow was Satan giving Ricky his approval of the murder. Then, of course, that pussy hung himself in jail 2 days after being arrested, and that ends the story of Ricky.
Jeez, so it's like, what a double whammy for his, like, blackened soul, in that not only has he committed murder, but also suicide, which, as they say, is a sin. So depending on what you think of the afterlife, he just basically double troubled himself, and sounds like he deserved it.
I like that. Double trouble. I like that.
Yeah. But dude, yeah. So he stabbed the dude, cut his eyes out, and bit his neck. Like that's that definitely sounds like an LSD acid fueled murder.
Yeah, that's the exact kind of shit you would do if you murdered somebody on those drugs.
Yeah.
Stuff turns you into animals, man.
Sloppy.
That's why I take a hit of PCP before every workout I do.
Well, with the pre-workout you take, it might as well be.
It's off the market. Okay, everyone. Do you remember earlier when I was talking about the notebook section? This is the notebook section. Okay, for those brave enough, write this down, to look into it yourself. I want you to break out your notebooks. I want you to get your pocket protectors ready and your little collared shirts, right? And then you have a pen in there looking like a fucking sales manager somewhere. I want you to get all that ready because this is what you all came for. And this Tasker is most afraid of, okay?
Oh, no. We're getting into the grimoire stuff, aren't we?
We're going to be getting into the grimoire stuff. So, how can I summon a demon, specifically Lucifer, and cast spells with his help in order to get what I want in life? That is the ultimate question of a black magician. That is the one that Tasker and I are here to answer for you.
I don't know about this, man. I don't know, because this is so. Of course, the goal of black magic. So now we're getting into magic, which we talked about. There's a ton of different ones. Yes, I am 100% stalling, but you can't stop me. Black magic is the one section of it where you are trying to tap into. It's not necessarily you're an evil person, but you are trying to harness demonic energy, or maybe not necessarily demonic, but just like, devil energy. Is that right?
You cut that, sweet Jesus. Down the track, dude.
They're trying to kill you, man. I told you this was a bad idea.
Ooh. Oh shit, you're right. crap. Okay. Yes, that's exactly right. So black magic is a way of getting something done, right? It's just like any other form of magic. The difference between black magic and, let's say, green or white magic is black magic uses, like you said, either help from a demonic force. In this case, it's going to be Lucifer, the big boy, or uses methods that are, how do I put it? Inhumane. Let's say inhumane, as PETA would say.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. So this is like the you need to sacrifice like animals kind of stuff, right?
Exactly. Some of it, not all of it, but some of it.
Okay, okay. And so then my question is most black magic like come with a cost? Like is it going into black magic you just know that like you're sacrificing part of your soul, or is it something where certain parts of it might but not all black magic will like taint you completely?
Thing about, okay, so there is, if you use like a demon invocation to help you with your rituals and spells, you will be selling a part of your soul. You will be slowly chopping away at your life, right? In general, your life. But there are also like aspects of black magic that, I almost said black metal. There are aspects of black magic that can be dangerous if you do it improperly. And that's kind of where the catch of black metal comes, or black magic comes from. So like with green magic, right? If you're using herbs and crystals and stuff like that, if you fuck up a spell, the only thing that's going to happen is nothing's going to happen. It won't work.
Right.
Black magic, sometimes if you fuck up a spell, you're fucked somehow. You might curse yourself. You might be selling your soul. Like there's so many things that could go wrong. So black magic is not only looked down upon because of its quote unquote evil nature, but it's also because it's highly dangerous and usually should be done by somebody who's skilled in the ways of magic.
Okay. And a lot of it is like genie logic, where if you don't like lawyer it up and build your contract correctly, you can they can twist it on you in like a second, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So you got to be really careful when you're going through all this. And please, for the love of God, try what I'm doing. Don't try black magic. Don't try the ritual that we're talking about today without actually looking at the grimoire we're going to talk about, because I am doing the Reader's Digest version of everything. I'm not putting full things in here. Half of this grimoire, we'll get into it. Just please don't try it. Unless you want to try it, then go for it. But that's all on you. So.
And that was a personal request from me, because that's what happened to I guess I'm not in theater anymore, so I can say it, but like the play Macbeth. The reason why they call it the Scottish play, or why people in theater don't say the name of it, is because it's like, sorry, I just started to get worried, because I'm like, I think because technically what we're doing is a performance. So
talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just gonna stop. I don't want to curse us. I'm just gonna stop.
All right. If you're curious, look it up. Look up the Macbeth thing. Okay.
You just said it again.
Okay. Right. Look up that play. Look up that one play.
Yeah. Yeah. You'll see why. But yeah, because there's like darkness, like spells and all that shit. So, anyways, let us continue forth.
All right. So there are many ways to accomplish summoning a demon or Lucifer or Satan or whoever and getting what you want. Countless grimoires and internet websites that will tell you how to summon your very own demon at a price, I'm sure, and make your wildest dreams come true. And for this segment, though, we will be using one of the oldest and most infamous grimoires that has ever been created, the Grand Grimoire, also known as the Red Dragon.
And a grimoire is just like a spell book, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
An old-timey word for it that makes it sound cooler.
It does sound a lot cooler.
I just so happen to have a copy of this book, and we will be using it as a reference here today. But
also, too, I got to point out it's a soft cover, so it's like not as potent.
Yes, yeah. Don't worry, guys. It's not like it's not in a human leather bound book. All right, it's not the Necronomicon, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's paperback, and probably published by Scholastic.
It's actually independently published, so it's probably from some guy's basement.
Yeah.
Just kidding. It is the real deal, though. So first, let's get a little backstory on the Grand Grimoire itself. And there is much speculation as to when this book was actually written, but it's said that it was originally written in 1702, but it could have been as early as 1421. The original author is technically unknown, but when it was first written, the introductory chapter was signed off by someone named Antonio Venetiana del Rabina. And it's said that Rabina gathered and compiled all of this original information from King Solomon's writings on how to summon demons. How do you feel, Josh? Are you doing okay?
I'm just trying to keep myself calm through. This stuff is legitimately terrifying to me. And I know we haven't even got into it yet, but like, I don't know. Cause yeah, we're FaceTiming now. How do I look? Do I look pale?
You look fucking scared.
I didn't want to do this episode, but I knew we had to. Like, I knew if we skipped out on this, like we'd regret it. So I gotta be brave. We're good. I'm good.
You got this.
I gotta stop drinking coffee. That's just gonna make me more anxious.
The Red Dragon is divided into 3 parts. First section is a massive ritual on how to summon Lucifer himself. That's like half of this book is the whole ritual. And that's why I'm saying don't do it based off of what I'm saying in the podcast, because there's not enough information. You're going to it's not going to work, or you're going to fuck something up royally. So if you're actually interested in doing this, buy a copy of the Grand Grimoire and do it yourself. But don't do it from what I'm telling you here. I'm giving you the Reader's Digest version of the ritual. Okay?
Yeah, in fact, I would actually venture to say, just try not to do black magic in general.
Do what you want to do. You know what I mean? Like, Tasker's going to tell you not to do it. I'm going to tell you do whatever you want to do.
I think it's a bad idea, and I think this is we're dabbling with stuff that, like I said, I don't believe in a lot of shit, but like this is the one thing I'm like, maybe like I won't even touch a fucking Hasbro Ouija board.
Okay. Look, I believe in this stuff as well. So let's say I wrote in things that would give the idea of what's happening without anything being complete.
Okay. And we're doing this remotely, so I'm not saying a word of this. So
there is something I need you to say later, though. I need help.
I don't know about this.
We'll get there. The second part is an explanation on the hierarchy of demons with instructions on how to summon each one through Lucifer. It also goes over what advantages there are to summoning specific demons and how they can help achieve your goals and your specific goals. So there's like Beelzebub, Astaroth, all these different demons that are underneath Lucifer, and each one is kind of better to summon if you need a specific thing done. You see what I'm saying?
Like, what could you want so badly to get a demon to do it for you?
About that for a second. Money, I don't know, hookers.
But I think there's non-demonic ways. No, I think there's non-demonic ways to get what you want.
Yeah, but there's no fun in that.
There's plenty of fun in that. You don't have to deal with demons.
But then you got to work hard and you have to like apply yourself. What do I look like? Bob the Builder? I don't have time for that shit.
I disagree with all of this, but let's just keep on going.
And last but not least, the third section of the Red Dragon is full of different spells and invocations that you can perform using the power of either Lucifer or one of the many other demons that you have summoned already. Now that the background is out of the way, let's briefly go over what it takes to summon Lucifer, just to get you in the right mindset for the upcoming spells. I say briefly, and it is a large section of this book with a lot of Latin, so I'm definitely not doing it in full because I can't pronounce half the things that are in there, and plus Tasker would probably shit himself if I did the whole thing.
Oh, I'm already like almost there. And by the way, I was just thinking about this too. It's like we're going under the assumption that like barely anybody like does this, and like, but what if like actually there's a ton of people doing it, and like Lucifer's just like super fucking pissed off and like has to like outsource and get like other little tiny like little office workers to help with that, like a shitty hotline.
Actually, it's interesting you say that because once you summon him, he does seem pretty annoyed that you summoned him.
Okay, so now it's getting a little cartoony. This is I can enjoy that. Okay.
All right, good. So now there are a couple of things you must do in preparation of the great invocation of Lucifer. First, you must abstain sexual contact with the opposite sex, but it doesn't say anything about the same sex. So there you go. For the first quarter of a month. Okay. And during that quarter, you can only eat 2 meals every 24 hours. And you have your choice of either eating at noon or midnight or eating at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. And whatever works for the busy black magician, so you have your options. You can choose between noon or midnight and noon and midnight or 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. So there you go. Look at that. Choices.
Weird.
Every time before you eat during this period, you must recite the following prayer. I implore you, O great and powerful Adonai, head of all spirits. I implore you, O Elohim. I implore you, O Jehovah, O great King Adonai. Condescend to be favorable. So shall it be. Amen. Tasker literally took his headphones off while I read that.
Don't want to fucking hear it, dude.
And after you eat your meals, never undress. Always be dressed for some goddamn reason. I don't know. They never explained it. And sleep as little as possible. Always thinking about your goal to summon Lucifer and the goals after that. On the second day of the quarter, we'll buy some bloodstones called emetile. That's what the stones are called. Any druggist and carry it with you always. We don't have druggists or apothecaries. So what you guys need to do is probably just go on Etsy. I'm sure there's plenty of bloodstones on there, okay, from all those goddamn hippies.
Or you can go to the Renaissance Fair. I'm sure they have some there.
Exactly. See, you're thinking like a black magician. Good job, Tasker.
I'm not proud.
Next, you will need to find an extremely isolated location so you will not be disturbed during the ritual by a young virgin kid.
By a kid? Oh,
like a goat, like a baby goat.
Oh my fucking god. Okay.
That's what a baby goat's called, as a kid.
I got so baited on that. God damn it. Oh man.
And on the third day of the quarter, adorn it with a garland of verbena, which is a sacred herb, and secure it to the goat's head with a green ribbon. Has to be green. Can't be any other color.
Okay.
Take the goat to your area of isolation and be sure to have your right arm completely bare to the shoulder and carry a knife made of pure steel with you. Next, create a fire made only of white wood, which is a little bit racist, by the way, and recite the following before your offering. I offer you this victim, O great Adonai, Elohim, Ariel, and Jehovah, and this in the honor, glory, and power of your superior, and to all of its spirits. Be so kind, O great Adonai, as to appreciate it. Amen.
Yeah, miss me with that shit, dude. I wish you could hear how many times I've been shaking my head this entire fucking episode.
Kill the goat and skin it. Keep the skin, but throw the carcass into the fire until it's nothing but ashes. Gather the ashes and throw them in the direction of the rising sun, reciting the following prayer as their sacrifice has been completed. It is for the honor, glory, and power of your name, O Adonai, Elohim, Ariel, and Jehovah, that I shed the blood of this victim. Design yourself to accept these ashes, O great Adonai.
Okay, that one I actually listened to. Jehovah is another word for God, though. Like, why is that in there?
This is a protection ritual.
Oh,
this whole process. I should have prefaced that. I'm sorry. I got too anxious. This whole process is a protection ritual for when you summon Lucifer.
Oh, so this isn't even summoning. This is just to fucking keep yourself safe.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, you're welcome. Sorry, I should have mentioned that.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, I feel a lot better.
Sorry, I got too into it. But you will have to keep your headphones on when I actually do the invocation of Lucifer, because you got to hear that shit, man. It's crazy.
Not gonna do that.
Listen to it. Right. With all this preparation completed, you have done just about as much as you can to protect yourself going forward while summoning Lucifer. Now, you will create a summoning circle using the goat skin from the sacrifice before. And this is where the invocation of Lucifer begins. Stay inside of the circle. This is a protection circle. Remember, we mentioned this a little bit ago. There are all kinds of protection circles out there. This one just happens to be made with bloodstone and the skin of a goat, a baby goat. Stay inside the circle and do not be frightened out of the circle by anything that might happen during the invocation. Is your only means of protection at the moment. And Tasker, I need you to keep your headphones on for this one, buddy.
Okay, do we even have to do this part? Like, this is where I think we might actually curse ourselves.
You have to do this part.
No. Why? Like, what if we just didn't? Like, you know?
This is what the people came for.
Maybe not. Like, I don't know. Maybe people are scared this episode's going to be cursed and it's going to curse them too.
How about this? What if I do half of it? Not finished.
Can you just do like a Spark Note version of it?
Right, let's see. Let's see what we got here. So this is the first invocation of Emperor, not even just Lucifer, Emperor Lucifer.
Wow. So yeah, just like give the idea without the actual rhetoric, because I'm actually starting to get scared.
You sure you don't want me to do it? It's pretty dope.
No, like you already gave them the book. If they want to read it themselves, they can read it themselves. Please just do this for me. I'm actually kind of like losing my shit right now.
Emperor Lucifer, Prince and Master of the Spirits, I implore you to abandon your dwelling in whatever part of the world you should be to come and speak to me. I command and entreat you by the authority of the great living God, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, to come noiselessly and without giving off any offensive sense, to respond in a clear and intelligible voice, point by point, to all that I should ask you. Failing which thou shalt be most surely compelled to obedience by the power of the divine. I didn't finish it. I left the last part behind.
Yeah, I made sure to not listen to parts of it just in case you snuck some bullshit in there.
So there's a first invocation of Lucifer. And if Lucifer doesn't show after the first one, there are two other invocations that use it, but I will not recite them because I think Tasker is literally having heart palpitations right now. So I will not recite the other two.
I don't approve of any of this, and I didn't approve of any of this. And you did it anyways. I mean, you were nice enough to not finish it, but not feeling good. Not feeling good.
If you feel any better, I skipped over a lot of prep work that you have to do for the ritual in order for the invocation to work. So I just skipped to the invocation.
Thank fucking God. Okay.
So there you go. That's why I ended up doing it anyway, because there's like you have to make a wand and you got to do all this. You have to do all this shit, and then you do the invocation for it to work. So I definitely just skipped over all that and then did the cool part and read out the invocation.
Yeah. Okay. So you hear that, listeners? You're safe. We're good. We're good.
We're all safe. We're all good right now. I didn't curse any of us. All right. But while conversing with Lucifer after he has been summoned, there will be many stipulations and negotiations that you two will have to hammer out. And believe me, it takes a while. It's like a quarter of this fucking book. You will get him to agree to your terms, and he will help you conduct black magic spells to achieve your wildest dreams. And after you've summoned him and gotten him to help you, stay in the circle and recite the following to dismiss him so that you may safely leave the circle.
So it's like the whole, like with the Ouija board, you're supposed to say goodbye at the end. Otherwise, you just left this ghost monster thing to just kind of hang out.
Exactly. You have to dismiss every time you summon him. And what you do in the circle is say, I leave you in peace, and I will permit you to retire to wherever you please, to return immediately with my invocation. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
But that's a like Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Like, why does that work? That's like isn't he supposed to be like the opposite of all that?
Yeah, man. It scares the shit out of him.
Oh, because you're trying to get him to go. Oh,
I get him to go away. And so that's what. So, okay, I should have explained this better. The first ritual with like the goat and the bloodstones and the not having sex and all that stuff, that was a ritual that you do in order to become closer to some kind of god, right? Your god. It doesn't matter which god it is, but it's the benevolent one.
Mm-hmm.
That's your protection spell. So then now that you have that connection with him, God, you can dismiss Lucifer, and by saying the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, they got your back, and they'll make sure he's dismissed. You know what I mean?
So it's a little ironic that in order to have the Satan do shit for you, you actually have to have some sort of more holy religious connection.
You don't have to, but you want to.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. So yeah, if you want to do it safely.
Yeah, like you could skip that whole first part with the goat and the no having sex thing and the eating twice a day thing. You can skip that whole thing and just go to summoning Lucifer if you want to be turned into a human, like a water weenie in hell. You know what I mean? Free.
Oh dear. Oh man.
All right. Well, now that we have Lucifer on our side, right? Let's go over some spells and rituals that you can conduct with his power in order for them to come to fruition.
Yeah. Well, these are interesting though. So now we're getting into so you've already done all the summoning, but you've sacrificed your immortal soul, but this is what you can do as your payment for giving up your eternal spirit.
Exactly. And we've handpicked some spells from the second part of from the last part of the Grand Grimoire here to share with you guys so you can know what you can get if you decide to hit that motherfucking like button and summon Lucifer.
Please spark note it. Just this is already taking like a year off my life.
Right. Well, the first one is to be insensible to torture, which means you can't be tortured.
That's pretty cool.
First, write 3 lines on a small piece of paper, which you will then swallow. These lines are the following: Dismas et estas domator potestas, Disma et gastas domator, et astra lavator. When you will have to be tortured, say, "This rope is so soothing to my limbs, like the Holy Virgin's milk to our Lord." You will never be tortured again. I butchered the Latin, but it works.
I hate this so much.
Next up is to compel one to dance completely naked.
That's kind of fun.
On eve of St. John the Baptist, gather at midnight 3 walnut leaves, 3 sweet marjoram plants, 3 myrtle plants, and 3 vervain plants. Dry it all in the shade and make it into a powder. When you want to make use of the powder, throw some, like a small pinch of tobacco, into the air of the room where the people are whom you wish to enjoy.
Oh boy. Pretty sure you could just get people to do that with a regular or unless magicians who do that shit actually are using grimoires.
Yeah, welcome to it, man.
Shit.
Diving deep.
So if you guys see any of this happening, this is also another reason to it. The only real reason I even agreed to this episode is information is power. So to understand it is to know how to defend yourself against it. So when you see some weird, freaky shit like this going on, you know that there's some Satan stuff at work and you know how to combat it.
Yep, there you go, guys. See, that's Tasker's take on this. So you can either protect yourself or you can utilize it.
Be smart, people.
Next up is the spell to make oneself invisible, which we've all wanted, right?
It's pretty cool.
Take a black cat, a new pot, a mirror, a lighter, a coal, and tinder. Gather water from a fountain at night. After you light your fire, put the cat in the pot. Hold the cover with your left hand without moving nor looking behind you, no matter what noises you may hear. Boil 24 hours. Put the boiled cat on a new dish. Take the meat and throw it over your left shoulder, saying these words: Sepe, quod, tibi, do, et nihil ampulios. And put the bone one by one under the teeth on the left side while looking at yourself in the mirror. If they do not work, throw them away, repeating the same words each time until you find the right bone. And as you move, you cannot see yourself anymore in the mirror. Withdraw, moving backwards while saying, Pater, in manus tuas commende spiritum.
Do you really have to read the Latin?
This bone you must keep. Yes, I have to read the Latin. That's where the pizzazz is. That's where the jazz hands is.
I don't like the jazz hands.
It's like Emerald's Bam, you know what I mean? So like, yeah, I can say all this shit about black magic and stuff, but then when you start speaking Latin, people start crapping themselves, you know?
Yeah, that's why I don't like it.
All right, and Tasker, I actually need your help with this next one. So if you could read the following on the outline, that would be great.
Hold on, I'm just previewing this, making sure you're not putting me in a position here. Okay, so this is how to. Okay, doesn't look like incantation. You're not hiding any shit in here, so I think it's safe because it's just instruction.
Right.
So this would be the spell to prevent a woman from conceiving. So, if you knock somebody up, this is the spell you would use to take it back, basically. Which I would not recommend, nor do I recommend any of this. I think it's a horrible idea, and
get on with it.
I hate this so much. So, to quote, in order to prevent a woman that you're having relations with from having kids, you got to take a sponge that is the size of a nutmeg, soak it with pure milk, mixed with a little fine oil. You must put it in her left hand and walk away. And every time you do this, you will be sure to have results. See, one thing that's making me feel better is I'm just picturing this like really just like sad, lonely guy, just like making this shit up, like all in his basement. Because see, there's where I can get my confidence back. Is all of this is fake? All of this is written. This is bullshit. This is all some bored dude just trying to scare people. And all of this.
The latest this was written was like 1702.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Just because it's the 1700s doesn't mean that humans aren't any less human than they are today. This could be the same shit as just some guy posting about fucking reptilians on some like off topic website,
or it could be real, and we could, or it could all be happening right now.
Yeah, that's fat chance. I think this is just written by some basement dweller.
That's fair. You know what? To each their own, Tasker. To each their own. All right, we have a couple more for you guys. Next one is how to be lucky in any enterprise, which is kind of nice because, like, what if you wanted to be lucky at your new job, or what if you wanted to be lucky with a new relationship, right? Or what if you're filing? What if you want to adopt a kid and you want to be chosen to be able to adopt a kid? Turn to black magic.
God damn it.
So first, take a green frog, cut off its head, his 4 feet, and on a Friday with a full moon, put them in an elder tree and keep them there for 21 days, removing them on the 21st day precisely at midnight. And expose the parts of the frog to the light of the moon for 3 nights. Afterward, dry the frog parts in a new earthenware pot that has never been used. Take the dried frog parts and grind into powder. Mix the powder in equal measure with earth taken from a cemetery, if possible, from the grave of somebody in your family. Carry the powder mixture with you. It will help you succeed in any undertaking.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I'm just trying to think of ways to purify my room after all this. Like, I might actually buy a cross after this.
We'll get to that, actually. I'll help you out. I know what would make you feel better. I'm not going to leave you hanging. I do have one more, okay? See and do the supernatural. Put a gold-studded plate under your tongue. It should be half the size of your thumb. Under your feet, put the border of a mortuary sheet or linen and hold a quince tree branch in your hand. Abstain from having sexual relations for 35 days. For 35 is a number that puts you under the protection of favorable constellations and sorcery. And with this secret, one can do prodigious deeds, as did Moses with his secret, did supernatural things.
That's all well and good, but not worth it. Not worth the eternal soul.
Okay, Tasker, don't worry. The worst of it's over. That was we're done with the section of how to summon. You should see his face right now. How to summon Lucifer and use him to get what you want. All right. So, but now that we've thoroughly alienated half of our audience and given Tasker permanent high blood pressure, let's give some reassurance by going over a few ways to protect yourself from demons in case you fucked up somewhere in the invocation, like I told you not to do, and your life is now a living fucking nightmare. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I'm just taking a moment here. Like I said, this is the one thing that actually scares me. So, I mean, the Latin was kind of uncalled for, but other than that, that was not as bad as I expected.
Good. Oh, see, I made it with you in mind and the audience in mind, right? Because I could have put a lot more stuff in there that would have sounded a lot worse. I did not.
And I have to keep reminding myself too, like Latin's just a language. It's just words. This is all just on the planet. Like, and I think a lot of words have power with intention, and we're making a podcast. So I don't think it's going to be that bad. This could be just me going through all the stages of denial. I'm not sure. But yes, please let us move on to anything else.
Okay, so we will be learning how to protect yourself. So don't worry, bud. You'll feel a lot better. As a fair warning, though, we are now entering hippie territory. Okay, this is official. I'm putting a sign up on my door. Hippie dippy shit incoming. Okay.
Throw away those pentagrams and let's break out the peace signs.
Man, dude, yeah, buddy, oh, fucking Janis Joplin was so fucking cool, man. So first off, we have the burning of sage, or also known as smudging. It is used in areas where negative or demonic entities are thriving in order to banish them. And honestly, I think it's just something about the aroma and the actual what sage turns into energy-wise when you burn it that drives them mad and drives them out of the house. So for instance, Tasker, if you wanted to cleanse your room and your house after what we just did, you could burn some sage and it will drive away any evil spirits that I may or may not have cast upon you.
Well, thank you, man. That's very, very kind of you to give me my preventative measures.
You're welcome. Different minerals and crystals can be used as well. And I'm telling you guys, it's getting hippie right now. All right. So if you guys, it's getting bad. All right. When you start bringing up crystals that do different things, a part of like high school Nick is like, oh, fuck yeah, I remember that. And then, but now like adult Nick is like, that's like,
it's dumb.
It's dumb. This is dumb shit. But I'm going to bring it up anyway, because if you guys want it to work, it'll work for you. If that's your magic, works. All right. So first up, black tourmaline. It said that black tourmaline can absorb negative or demonic energy and convert it into positive energy, which is then released back into the universe. And it's kind of like the way that I picture it is like some kind of Facebook mom group photosynthesis, right?
Just a note I want to put with all the minerals and crystals and stuff. Remember that this is for magic. I know there's a ton of like anti-vaxxers who think like this stuff can like cure coronavirus and stuff or cancer. And it's like, dude, you're basically just giving your loved ones a death sentence by thinking that this can like solve like real world shit. Like it's preventative measures.
Yes. As far as magic goes, I think crystals have a place. I believe that they can do certain things. But as far as like health goes, I really don't think. I mean, that's when it starts getting cringy for me. You know what I mean? That's when I start picturing like Facebook groups and like anti-vaxxers and stuff. Like, no, that's where I draw the line with crystals. Next up is black onyx, and it's another popular mineral used to fight demonic energy. Apparently, it is able to absorb negative energy that stems from black magic and demons and grounds it, negating it fully. So Tasker, we could just get you some black onyx and keep it in your room, and then you have nothing to worry about, and we can do all the incantations we want.
I don't know about that last part, but yeah, black onyx sounds fun.
Black onyx, just a black onyx,
like the Pokemon.
Yeah,
I mean, if that was the case, then hell yeah, you'd be safe. Those things are like a couple stories tall.
That's pretty cool. Then there you go.
Yeah, I'll take 3.
Lastly, we have smoky quartz, and it's another popular option. It absorbs negative energy and transfers it into the earth, essentially grounding it and canceling it out.
That's okay. So it's like a lightning rod, but for evil.
Exactly. So there you go. There's some crystals and some minerals that you can use, Tasker. So I'll see you on Etsy later, okay?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. I'm gonna get like my necklaces. If y'all ever see us in person at the podcast, I'm gonna be like wearing all the stones and stuff,
turquoise and shit. Yeah, I could see you wearing that.
Mm-hmm.
Next up on the protection list, we have salt. In many different traditions around the world, salt is seen as a spiritual cleanser, and it can be used to ward off demons and evil spirits. We mentioned it briefly earlier in the episode when we were talking about the pentagram and the pentacle, right? And how you draw the circle of protection. when you're practicing different types of witchcraft and stuff like that, and how the circle of protection is generally used with made with salt. So it's like something about the salt drives the demons away, keeps you safe while you're practicing rituals or doing magic or something like that.
Not a big fan of the seasonings devils and demons seem to be, huh?
No, they just don't have any taste, dude.
They make their steaks just with pepper.
Yeah, I could see that. Maybe some pepper and some cayenne, you know.
Something, but yeah, just no salt. That's such a shame.
Of course, the last but not least, another way to protect yourself from the demon you accidentally invoked and can't get rid of is prayer. Whether or not you're religious, they hate hearing that shit and will most likely leave you alone, especially if you combine the prayer with another method we just mentioned.
Interesting. And that's a pretty basic, like, it's also like what, you tell your kids when they're scared is, shoot off a prayer, because in a sense, that is like the most like standard way to deal with evil spirits and stuff.
Yeah, it's comforting. It's standard. It's what we've been taught, what most of us have been taught since we were kids, and it's comforting. I personally don't do it. I don't get scared. I am nothing. I'm a stone wall. Okay. When it comes to this stuff, I'm looking for something to happen because I've yet to have an experience. But in Tasker's case, I don't know Tasker. I mean, we're best friends. I don't know how religious you may or may not be, but maybe to make you feel better, you might shoot off a couple prayers,
Yeah, I would say I'm certainly not as religious as I used to be, but like, it's definitely enough to where it's like, man, I'm probably going to shoot off a couple Hail Marys before I go to bed tonight. I ain't joking.
That's fair. That's okay. Whatever keeps you safe. Yeah.
I think honestly, now that we've gotten through the worst of it, I'm feeling better about all this. I'm feeling a little bit like, okay, no, maybe I got a little carried away. Maybe I got a little too frightened. Does that mean I want to hear more? No, absolutely fucking not.
You can do a part 4 and I can just do the whole grimoire. I can just read it all out loud if you want.
I will delete that episode and it will never air.
All right. Well, the last thing we want to cover in this episode are some misconceptions about most modern Satanists and what they truly stand for. Because, of course, I use the scare tactic by reading from the Grand Grimoire for you guys and all this kinds of stuff. But, and I'm probably part of the problem, but there are a lot of misconceptions about what people, and this all really stemmed from the Satanic Panic, right? And how people think that kids being into the devil and D&D and metal music and all this kinds of stuff was like bad for society, and they were like devil worshippers. But then we have these organizations coming out, which we'll get into, that are like, no, that's not like what it stands for. And we'll get into it because it's something that I'm really passionate about, is the difference between a devil worshipper and a Satanist. Okay. So firstly, I want to begin this segment by talking about what modern Satanism is not. By modern Satanism, I mean organizations like the Church of Satan and the Satanic Temple. Satanism is not devil worship. You do not actually worship a deity, whether that be the devil or Satan himself. They're actually atheistic in nature and use Satan as a symbol of individualism and not feeling guilty about enjoying the pleasures in life. They do not sacrifice anyone or anything in the name of the devil or Satan. No killing virgins, no goat sacrifice, no killing kids, etc. That stuff does not happen.
So these guys, it's like, and this is, I think, the biggest difference is, so of course the spell books and stuff that we went over earlier, that's Satan worship. That's more like, invoking the power of the devil himself. Whereas Satanism is like none of that. So like you said, there's no blood is being shed as a practitioner.
No, exactly. In fact, it's the opposite. Like if you look at the tenets of these organizations, they're very progressive and they're very like forward thinking. A lot of these organizations are for equality and they're for individualism, and but we'll get into it. So like they're, last but not least, they are not evil people with an ulterior motive behind everything they do. And that certainly includes taking your souls. That is not what they're doing. Like, even though people on Facebook and mom groups are telling you that's what they are doing. Okay.
Well, yeah. Like you said, they're atheists.
They're atheists. They don't exactly. They don't believe in a higher power, whether it's God or Satan. Now, let's get into what modern Satanism is, including things that they do to help those around them. Modern satanic organizations, such as the Satanic Temple, are activists for freedom of individualism and individual rights. They have protested for women's rights to choose an abortion, which is a touchy subject, right? I'm not going to get too into it, but to a lot of people, that's important. And I think it's, whether you believe in it or not, the fact that they're protesting for something is, and they protest for a lot of different things, is good, because they're expressing their freedoms to protest for different rights that they believe humans should have. So they're not protesting, hey, let me eat your baby. They're like protesting for a woman's right to choose. You know what I mean?
Right. So yeah, so this is already a huge difference, is like they're not so obsessed with the idea of like darkness and bloodshed and all that stuff. It's like, no, they actually are very involved in modern day topics and modern day politics and stuff like that.
Exactly. The Arizona chapter of the Satanic Temple even opened an after-school program club for kids of busy parents as an alternative to the evangelical after-school program that was already in place at the school. So instead of focusing on religion with the kids, the Satanic Temple's after-school program focuses on science and book studies with the children. So at this specific school, they noticed that there, as the quote-unquote daycare, it was like this evangelical proselytizing kind of like club for kids when, you know, parents had to work late and they pick up their kids after, you know, like when you go to daycare after school. And they're like, no, that's like, why can't we do it then? Like, so they didn't do it out of like just out of the goodness of their hearts. Like, yeah, they did help, and parents did use their service, but they did it as to make a point. Like the point being, okay, well, if you guys can do it and proselytize these kids and kind of like force them to think a certain way, then we'll just do our own thing. Be like a regular after school club where they learn about science and things they should be learning in school. We're not going to mention obviously anything about Satan, because they don't talk about they don't talk about kids about Satanism or anything. That's not mentioned. It's just called that because the Satanic Temple is the one that created it, and there was a lot of controversy over it. But I think it's an interesting thing that they did there, and I think that their thing is they're activists for equality when it comes to religions and dominance of one religion over the other, or no religions at all. So like the church, not the Church of Satan, the Satanic Temple were the ones, I don't know if you heard about this, Tasker, but they were the ones that made that statue of Baphomet, got it petitioned to be put into the city.
That's right. Know? Huge controversy because especially because this happened in the US, which is traditionally very Christian. And the fact that it was in New York, I think, right?
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was somewhere. It was like a big city. And essentially, was it Satanic Temple or Church of Satan?
Satanic Temple, that one.
Yeah, they petitioned to have a statue built with Baphomet, which is their symbol. And everyone was like, you can't do that. That's like devil. Like, da, 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 da. And then they were like, well, actually, we can. Like, freedom of religion. Y'all can have your like statues of like, you know, Jesus or whatever you have. Like, why can't we do that? Like, that's actually persecution. Like, this is, but it's different because you're Satan. Is like, is it though? And then it became this huge debate of what truly is freedom of religion and stuff like that. And I think it ended up getting built, right?
It did, yeah. It was glorious. It looked fucking beautiful. They were talking about, yeah, you guys have a statue of the 10 Commandments. Why can't we have this statue of Baphomet? So I think that's interesting. And they, you know what I mean? Like, they're activists. They're not devil worshippers that are sacrificing children. They are activists for, I mean, they do it in a really cheeky way, obviously. Like, you know, like, but they're making a point. You know, and they're using Satan as a symbol for that. And you know, there's a huge difference, and I'm passionate about this difference because when people talk about like, oh, how bad Satan, like, well, not all of them. Then look, if you say not all of it's bad, what are people going to think automatically? They're going to be like, wow, this dude's fucking worships the devil. I can't even say that. I can't even defend the ones that are like donating to charities and they're they're helping kids after school and they're doing all this cool shit without being called a devil worshiper. And it's a fucked up world we live in, Tasker.
Well, my question here is why choose the idea of Satan as a symbol, knowing that there is a demonic connotation, regardless of their actual intention? Because obviously their intentions are not demonic in nature. And obviously they are more of like an atheistic, science-y kind of society looking to be involved in activism. But why choose the shock value? Like, why go for that? Like, what is there to gain from it?
Because if you think about it, Satan is the ultimate adversary, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's the adversary of what so the modern Satanists view Christianity as the system, right? Because there's supposed to be a separation of church and state, but there's not. There's never been a separation of church and state, right?
Right.
Look at all the things like us on our money, in God we trust. It's in the Pledge of Allegiance, all this stuff. And so like the Satanists are viewing the government in the way that they're handling the religion of freedom, or the freedom of religion, as the system, and they chose Satan as the ultimate adversary to combat it for the shock factor.
So it's literally they just chose the idea of making it satanic, like Satanic Temple and all that stuff, because it's more of almost like a tongue-in-cheek kind of like angle, because it's almost in and of itself a protest on the very what's the word, biased nature of separation in church and state.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. That's kind of interesting. Like, that's cool. And like, and they went in knowing, I'm assuming, that they are going to get a lot of pushback for it and stuff. And a lot of like, oh, like you're devil worshippers because you have the name Satan, because the name Satan is pretty synonymous with like evil. But it's like, so it's not so much that they're trying to going out of their way to make Satan into an object of adoration, but more of as a literary point, as a way to like demonstrate what they're trying to do, but just in a really extreme metal kind of way.
Hell yeah, dude. Exactly. Now you're getting it.
Interesting. So, and also too, I guess the best way to differentiate, I was just thinking about this, is devil worshippers are the black hood wearing, animal stabbing pieces of shit, and Satanists, you probably seen them at the grocery store.
Yeah, they're everywhere. They're everywhere, dude. And they're all different shapes and sizes.
Oh, it's well, I'm glad we can achieve a level of world peace, I guess.
That's what we're striving for.
Yeah. So that being said,
we made it through the episode, Tasker. How do you feel right now? Tell the people.
Honestly, exhausted. I am feeling tired. I am, but there's a part of me that's like, I need to braven up a bit, because I think by being scared of it is to give it power.
There you go. That's a perspective you could take. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, well, it could have been worse. I'll say that. Like, I definitely think, well, also to talk to our listeners, congratulations if you made it all the way through. Like, this is the type of episode that, like you did kind of mention earlier, it could be very alienating to a lot of people who, like me, are horribly scared of this stuff. But if you found yourself interested enough to make it, you might actually have found that it really wasn't as bad as we thought it would be. It's like, just had to rip the Band-Aid off. It's kind of interesting to look into the types of rituals. And thank you for censoring enough of it to help me sleep at night.
You're welcome. See, I did it planned with you guys in mind. I know I like to push the boundaries, but when it comes to this kind of stuff, people like my co-host here, Tasker, will freak out, and I can't have my co-host freaking out mid-recording. So I did this strategically. Okay, I made the outline strategically, just enough flair to make it spooky, but with not enough in there for it to actually summon anything. Okay.
And if you're listening to this now, you know that the episode isn't cursed, because if it was cursed, this file would have been corrupted, and we wouldn't be able to listen to any of this.
Yeah, or we're dead in the next 2 days before we can upload.
Exactly. Or if our podcast suddenly gets crazy successful within the next week or two, then maybe there was some demonic magic and we just might as well just enjoy our new hedonistic life before we're damned for all eternity. So thank you, Nick.
You're welcome. You know what? I'm just doing it for us.
God damn it. I went into this podcast, it's funny to me how it's like we start off as just like an alien podcast and like just look how far we've come. We're branching out so much.
Well, you know what? All aspects of life must be explored, especially in the cult realm. But guys, we are going back to aliens next week, so don't worry about it. I have some really cool shit lined up. But more importantly, right? Count Chocula in the works. We have our new computer. We got it in the mail, right, Tasker? We're ready to roll again.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. Like, and this time it's like super secure. We have a new rule. Well, actually, I had to order a shock collar to put on to Nick. So that way, when he gets too close to the button that erases everything, it shocks him a little bit. So it's like we have a little bit of more of a defense mechanism. And that's going to be really helpful, I think, for keeping things under control.
Yeah, but now the problem is every time I get shocked, I get an erection. So now I have that connection going in my mind.
That was also kind of half what I was hoping, because it's like, I'm not one who needs a whole lot of power to feel satisfied, but to know that I can control Nick's erection frequency is it's pretty exhilarating.
All right, well, now I know it's a ploy, but yeah, okay, whatever. So Count Chocula, yes, it's in the works, guys. It's coming. We're still working on it. Also, if you could send us your local legends at our email, which is ceotpk1@gmail.com.
Be super, super cool. If you like the episode or you're just really mad at us because of what we went through, give us 5 stars for whatever you're feeling. Maybe give us a review on iTunes would be cool. You can follow us on Spotify, Instagram, we're at CEOTPK, Twitter, we're at CEOTPK1, Facebook, check us out, Close Encounters of the Podcast Kind. And if you want to get a little up close and personal with us, we have our Discord server, discord.gg/b 6, capital C, capital T, 5, capital M, capital X.
Yeah, guys. So thank you for joining us on this super hedonistic party. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
And three episodes, man.
Yeah.
This is some record-breaking stuff. And a quick thought before we close out: who's to say that Satan doesn't exist at all? It's actually reptilians manipulating us from underneath, and all these rituals are actually to summon them.
Here's a thought: why the fuck did Tasher come up with that and not me?
Because I am a scared boy, and I am going to grab at whatever I can to make me feel better.
All right, well, if that's aliens, I'll take it, buddy. And just remember, everybody out there, you devil-worshipping, demon-summoning son of a bitches, truth is out there.
No, it's not.
Jesu